can hear you if you can hear us.
Oh, I can hear you loud and clear. Thank you.
Great.
Great. Okay, then we have a quorum, we'll call the meeting to order. And I will just do a quick roll call here. Leslie Melton Chair, I'm here. Stephanie Barr.
Present.
Gretchen Casarati. Ellen DeAngelis. Here. Randy B. Funk. Bonnie Zong Griffith. Here. Mary Jensen. Here. Eva Lang.
Present.
Claudia Weatherman Tester.
I'm here.
Joining us via phone, and Genesis Milam. And I'm sure we'll have oh, there's Randy B. Let the record reflect that Randy B. just joined us, and I will update as people are able to join. I understand there's a couple of commission members that need to leave in a timely fashion today, so we'll try to move things along. Moving to adoption of the agenda.
I make a motion to adopt the agenda.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, and due to the wonderful delivery, let the record reflect that Gretchen Casarati has just joined us. Through the wonderful efforts of Hillary to get our packet to us in a timely manner with plenty of time beforehand to review it, we will go to the approval of the January 11th, 2018 regular minutes. There's nothing to be brought out for correction. We would entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the January 11th, 2018 minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, moving on to new business. We do have a situation where we have some thanks to give to people who have been serving on our commission that no longer feel that they can devote the time, and it's all for good reasons, because they've moved on in their arts fields and they have built wonderful businesses, and so this is a good thing, but a sad thing for us. We are going to say goodbye today to Claudia Weatherman Tester, who's joining us on the phone. And I don't know, Claudia, how to send your beautiful coffee mug via phone, but we will get it to you, I'm sure. Hillary, can you? But it looks awesome, so.
Well, the answer to that is somebody needs to meet me for coffee.
Oh, I like that. I would be so willing to do that. So
Okay, well, it's with sadness that I've had to make this decision, but we've been blessed in our life with a lot of business, and my time is just getting spent in so many other ways, and I just felt like I wasn't kind of holding up my commitment. And so, it's an opportunity for someone else to come and hopefully bring what they have to the commission.
we deeply appreciate the time that you've given us, Claudia, and the media expertise that you've brought to the board. It's really helpful. We will miss you, but we understand that talented people's time is often a premium. And so we will see you soon. I will bring your coffee mug to you and your certificate that you must frame and put in your...
I absolutely will.
All right, thank you, Claudia. Next, Ellen DeAngelis, and she's served a full term here as well, and has given absolutely wonderful input to the Dairy Days, the art, all of the art installations, the traffic box wraps. She's a visual artist by profession and has given very, very valuable input in those areas, and we deeply appreciate your service, and we will miss you as well.
Thank you for the kind words.
And here,
Oh, what is this?
coffee
Mug? What?
and this certificate of appreciation.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I'm a big proponent of term limits. I have to lead by example in that situation. No, it'll be good for you guys to get some fresh blood in here. I have a lot of travel planned this year, and I don't like to do anything halfway, so I more sense to take my time when it's up and pass the torch, like Claudia mentioned, and hopefully you guys can get some masculine input on the commission. I think that would be exceptional. And yeah, you guys will rock on.
We love men. Awesome. Thank you, Ellen, for everything.
No offense, Randy. You're very masculine.
We're just trying to get you a friend.
Right.
Thank you.
Not that we're not your friends. That's what I'm talking. And last, but certainly not least, we say a heartfelt and full of gratitude thank you and goodbye to Mary Jensen, who has served as a board member, a commissioner at large. Then she moved on to the vice chair position, then into the chair position. She certainly has given, I don't want to count how many hours, and you probably shouldn't, of her life to this commission, but in the meantime, she has grown one of the most successful and thriving arts businesses in the city of Meridian, the Treasure Valley Youth Theater. And we are so proud of that theater and our affiliation with it, and of you and Autumn, and the way you've been able to grow arts for children in the city of Meridian. So we will see you around often, and we will miss you here, but we have no doubt that your continued value in the arts will continue to be felt in the city. So thank you.
I have to say, I know it looks like she's just getting a certificate, but I ordered her a plaque also, and it's just not here yet. So I will deliver the plaque over to Mary, but don't think you're only ever going to get a certificate. You've served as chair and put in 10 years, so yeah. What's new other than waiting for your plaque, I guess?
A plaque.
Thank you to all of the arts commissioners and all those that have moved on that I've served with in the past. I actually have been asked to give a little speech next week about community service, oddly enough. And so I kind of went back and started looking at how my involvement got started. And truthfully, I think it was more of a selfish act rather than wanting to serve my community. When I started, I had two very small children, two toddlers at the time, and I was just looking for something that would get me out of the house once a month and away from Play-Doh and cooking and cleaning, and I thought, I know a little bit about the arts, maybe the Arts Commission would be a place for me. And so I got to meet with Mayor Tammy and Meg Glasgow, who was the chair at the time, and they welcomed me with open arms, even though I was kind of just this young mom that didn't have a lot of knowledge or direction as far as what I thought the arts in Meridian should be. I just thought, the arts are great, Meridian is great, this is for me. So they welcomed me. I think I was the only one that applied. So that was maybe a good or a bad thing.
How lucky were they?
But since that time, I feel truly like it's still been kind of selfish for me. I've learned so much from so many people. I've got to interact with artists that I would have never experienced. I learned about the arts. I learned about I've always thought our community was great, but I've really learned how truly great it is. So I'm still continuing to be a little bit selfish and say that this time on the Arts Commission, as much as I enjoyed serving the community, was really for me too, and I don't think that I'll ever give that up. So please know that anytime the Arts Commission needs an extra hand or some more volunteer hours, I would be willing and happy to serve again with you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mary. Ah. Wow. Okay. We are going to talk for a few minutes about transitioning with new commissioners. This is the first time that we've ever had this large movement in and out since, I don't go back all the way in the history. I think, Emily, you go back further than I do. But this is going to be an interesting opportunity, and I love that the reason the commissioners are moving on is because their lives have taken on new energy in other areas that also still have to do with the arts. So we're all still working for the arts, but we do have these positions that are open. And is there anything, we would just like to have a very short discussion about your needs as commissioners in your lives. How does what Mary said was about it being somewhat of a selfish prospect. I mean, that's very, very well put. And even though that selfishness is actually selflessness, we want to make it as amenable to your lives and as seamless in what you're trying to do in the arts for you to serve on the Arts Commission. And I'm wondering if there's any input from what's working, what's not, what can we do to improve?
I have something I'd like to add to that. I think it's really important as a commissioner to join with your own agenda. You need to have your own interests when you come to a commission, so that you have something that's always inspiring you, always pushing you forward, is always holding your attention, and giving you a reason to come every month, even though it's just once a month. Sometimes it can be difficult, and make that commitment. I think if you don't have your own agenda, your own personal interest, you're just coming, and there's really no other reason to come. You can say yay or nay when there's a vote up, but if that's it, then you're not inspired, and you're not inspiring anyone. So whatever your agenda is, make sure you know it, fight for it, push for it, make decisions that move it along, and make sure other people are there to help you, bring that to fruition. Gotta have an agenda.
You have to have a passion, right?
Yeah, I think you need more than passion, though.
Mm-hmm.
You need to have a goal. You need to have something that you want to see created or changed or touched, or something like this,
Thank you. Thank you. Any other comments? Yes, Gretchen.
Madam Chair, I think, and we've talked to, Hillary and I talked about this at one point. Did I turn this on or off? There we go. Is making sure that there's a good orientation for new commissioners to really understand how things are paid for, how the projects are supported. I think that also helps to set expectations about what it means. You talk about it when you're thinking about applying, or maybe when you're interviewing with the mayor or something, but then when you get if you are serving on the commission, having a really good handle and understanding on how much time it's going to take, what the participation expectations are. But really, a big piece of that, too, is what are your available resources? And that can manage those expectations from a different angle.
Okay.
To understand our budget, our available financial resources, and what it takes to do the commitments that we already have. Especially if you're coming in with a passion and an agenda for something you want to see accomplished. It can help you better understand how to get there when you can navigate the current landscape with a little more confidence.
Yes. Confidence that comes from information and understanding that information. Thank you. Thank you. So an orientation for new board members. I like that. I would have loved that when I came in. I just kind of sat mute for the first year. Just kind of listened and took it in. And that would certainly speed up that process. Thank you. Anyone else want to chime in? I think, Hillary, Emily, do you have anything to add here?
I think one thing that's difficult, and I really would have liked the events committee to have a chance to talk about this first, but can you guys, even losing 3 people, can you maintain the programs that you've taken on with 6 people and now training and orienting 3 new people?
I think we need to look at, personally, I think we need to look at trimming back a bit. The traffic box wraps, the murals are going forward. I think our special events that I think we could make a change there. I'm not quite sure which direction to go, but I think it's going to be a little tricky to get around all of it.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
You may end up with 3 new commissioners that have more energy than the rest of you combined. Because when you join the commission, you've got your rose-colored glasses on. You're excited. You think you're gonna have like all these great opportunities to get involved. I think you should take advantage of that.
That's
I
actually a
think
good
that-
idea. Maybe
I
we should
think
delay
that
the
we should-
orientation by a couple of months.
I think that actually speaks to having a really solid orientation. That's
Yeah.
something we've always talked about. I think it's a great idea because I think every single one of us sitting here is like, I wish I would have known a little more when I started, right?
Yes.
So I think that maybe even speaks to making that a higher priority is so that those new commissioners come in and feel like they can hit the ground running rather than sitting mute for a year or
Yeah.
two, as
Yeah.
I know many of us have, so.
Yeah, so harnessing that energy, that is a good point, Ellen. Thank you. Thank you. All right, so we are going to be bringing on new commissioners. So thanks for your input. I think that the orientation, we should, Hillary, if you want to get, if you would like to meet on that and kind of see how that would look with me, I'd certainly be willing. And then I can have my orientation. Awesome, thank you.
Madam President, can I ask, do we do have applicants that are applying for the positions now?
You.
Good.
So we'll be ready for that. So the Meridian Symphony Orchestra presentation, Mr. Stolen, were you going to take care of
So I
that?
told him he was going to be here earliest, 3:50, so it's a little early for him. We could go to the next item,
Okay, let's do
4D, until he
We will
gets
come
here.
back to item 4C when Mr. Stolen arrives. And we'll move on to D, the Arts Commission and Arts Foundation roles with Hillary.
Yeah, so after we released that kind of annual formalized sponsorship request, Councilmember Joe Borton asked to sit down and just talk about the relationship and roles between the Arts Commission and the Arts Foundation, and he sits on the Arts Foundation. And it just brought up a good topic that we think we need to address with each of those two groups. So I'd like to invite members of the Arts Foundation to come and present at the March MAC meeting so they can help better define what their vision is, what they see their role as, and kind of help give us a framework for how they see themselves currently and where they see themselves wanting to move forward, and how our two roles work together collaboratively, or if there's overlap and that kind of thing. After talking to the mayor about our agenda setting meeting, she said it'd be good to have them come with kind of a foundation for us to share, and then we could possibly consider having a joint meeting or a special meeting with more of their members to make it give it as much time as that conversation probably needs, and possibly consider doing some strategic planning in coordination with the Arts Foundation. So that being said, I just want you guys to send me, if you can, any questions you have about the Arts Foundation so that I could send those to Joe or to James so that they could come prepared to answer your questions about the Arts Foundation and present to you in March. And then this will be a continual conversation. And like I said, probably lead to a joint meeting with more MAF members and some MAC members.
Okay, good. I'm so glad that this is going forward, because this is a tool that we haven't been able to really utilize yet as a commission, and vice versa. I think learning how we can articulate with the Meridian Arts Foundation could be very helpful to growing the arts for the city. So this is a first step. So think carefully about your questions so that they can really give some thought, and we can really make the best use of both of our time in this next meeting. That's great. Thank you, Hillary. Let's move back then. Mr. Stolen, David Stolen has arrived. You were right on time. We were just ahead of agenda. So we're going to move back to you. Coming back to the Meridian Symphony Orchestra presentation. This is David Stolen. He's chair of the board for the Meridian Symphony Orchestra. He also plays in the string section. So he's a musician, and he's also a banker. He's one of those genius music math minds.
Is there such a thing?
There
That's
he
just
is.
crazy.
And
is.
a former arts commissioner.
And a former arts commissioner. For those of you who aren't familiar with how active he's been in the arts community, he also was the commissioner in charge of concerts on Broadway when it started. So he's all over.
Man, I'm getting old.
No, you're just prolifically active.
No,
in
I'm getting
arts.
old. Trust me. Trust me. Well, thanks, you guys. I was talking with Hillary a couple of weeks ago with regards to the Arts Commission and their involvement with Symphony, and mainly that's centered around our annual Young Artist Competition, which we just had a couple of weeks ago. Gretchen can attest to how great the kids are that performed at that.
I'm so sorry I was out of town. I hated missing that. I heard it was just fantastic.
It's one of the best things we do, obviously. We had kids this year, throughout the valley, came as far as Twin Falls, Cambridge, I think. And that's mainly because their teachers or their accompanists live in the area. So that's how that kind of came to be. The winners of that competition this year were actually a couple of students. One was from a high school student at Timberline High School, and the other one is, a 12-year-old kid from Victory Middle that's going to be playing with us in April. So great kids. I think a lot of the conversation was with regards to the sponsorship of the Young Artist Competition, and then that kind of evolved into maybe a much broader sponsorship of the Symphony. Our sponsorships that we've done in the past, I think, have been $300, $500 that we've done with the commission for a number of years. Our sponsorships for a season sponsor right now are $1,000, and for that we offer a multitude of things. Obviously, the partners that we have sponsoring with the Symphony, we want to make sure that the value of that expenditure is well worth the investment. So we offer an allotment of concert tickets. We usually will have a sponsor for the entire season, so you'll be involved in programs for each of our concerts, which right now are, we've got 5 concerts this year, plus our outdoor concert at Kleiner Park in June. Our sponsors are typically tied to a specific concert that will allow them to get tickets, an allotment of tickets for that performance. But the season sponsors will be on each of our in each of our programs. They'll be involved on our posters throughout the season. So it gives you some additional visibility and allows you, if there are things that you want to change in and out of those programs, maybe you've got events that are coming up that you want to publicize and get that information out, we can put that in the program, or we can have some of that information provided at our tables in the lobby at the concert. So those are just a few things that I think make sense, given that the fiscal year of the city is fairly similar to the season of the Symphony. You can either decide that, the way I was looking at it, if you say, okay, we're halfway through the season, we could go $500 for the remainder of this year and then establish something going forward for your next fiscal year, which starts in October. Our first concert would be in October, November of next year. So then you get the full cycle. I'll leave that up to commission on what you want to do there. But that, we're flexible if that's an agreement that you guys want to go down. So.
Okay, so to clarify, then we would consider $500 for half of the sponsorship to finish this fiscal year.
Right.
And then as of October, we would bump up to the $1,000 annual sponsorship level.
If that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah. That way, I think it's more tied to your fiscal year and our season, so it makes sense. So we're not splitting years.
Yeah.
Especially since we're kind of starting this in the middle of this season. So
that's Boy, that clears things up for me. Fiscal years are confusing.
Budgets are tight, right?
Yeah. All right, great.
Any questions about the symphony, the Young Artist Competition? I mean, the growth of the symphony is just blossomed with the addition of Jim Ogle as our conductor. We actually have gone to 2 performances for our Christmas performance, which we probably had a total between the 2 of 1,500 folks between the 2 nights. So that's been great. Our next concert's coming up on March 10th. If you're interested, Water Everywhere has things to do with water. So
Handle,
Blue Danube,
Beautiful.
those sorts of things. So anyway.
Which, if you haven't heard that, commissioners, that music is gorgeous and perfect for spring.
It's a lot better than the water that we were talking about this time last year.
Yes, it is.
So, any questions of me or anything I can help clarify with regards to the symphony?
I don't have any questions. I just have compliments. I'm just so impressed with the way it's grown and blossomed and with the number of people that you're reaching with orchestral music. And students.
Yeah.
I'm just so proud to talk about the Meridian Symphony Orchestra when every once in a while somebody says, there's a symphony in Meridian. I'm like, oh yes, there is. And you should be hearing that. I think it's one of the crowning jewels artistically for Meridian.
Thank you.
Yeah,
we try hard.
Yeah, it's a really, really, really cool thing to have an orchestra at that level for a community this size. Very cool.
Madam Chair, may I?
Yes, Mary.
David, do you have a sense of any other needs that may be arising in the future from the symphony that MAC could continue to support in other ways than we are currently doing?
A performing arts center? Okay, maybe that's
Okay.
too much of a reach.
Tell us more.
Yeah.
Done.
On the record.
Yeah. I mean, the programs that we've, obviously we're an all-volunteer group, so the things that we do are putting on our concerts. We want to make sure that, given the time that our musicians give back to the orchestra, that we're not, because they've got other stuff going on as well. And so we're not in a situation where we want to expand our season tremendously. But there are some things that we're going to start getting involved in. I don't know if that's from the symphony level or if that's going to be members of our group. We've talked about getting involved into a pilot program that where we have instructors go out into the music programs in the schools, and so that the teachers, if you think about a band director or orchestra director who's got 50, 60 students in their group, they don't have the time to help each one of those folks individually. And so there is some conversations being taken place with regards to a program where we'll help organize teachers that go into those classrooms that maybe take smaller groups to kind of help the directors with that. And so it's kind of funny how it kind of has come full circle for us. We started way back in the day as a group of musicians. The Meridian School District did not have a orchestra program in the schools, and so we kind of helped initiate that, starting for a place for students to play, and that was back 1990. The school district then got their own program together and asked us to step away from that. It's funny how we're kind of coming back around again on the backside. The program is there, but with cuts to arts education and those sorts of things, I think there's still some things that we can still be involved with, which really was our original mission. So
That's interesting that now it it comes back full circle as a
Full
comprehensive outreach program
Yeah,
from a developed orchestra.
yeah. And so
That's interesting.
it's instead of kind of creating that, we're trying to help backfill some of the, and make kids better. I mean, the problem that they're seeing in the schools is music, whether that's band, orchestra, choir, it's especially at the middle school level, is required at 6th grade. 7th grade, it becomes an elective, and they see a huge drop off at that 7th grade level. And so what they're trying to do is give, help the kids understand that they can be successful.
It's mentorship.
Yeah. Be successful so that they see the excitement and they want to continue, as opposed to they've fulfilled the requirement, they're moving on to other things. Music's not for everybody, but I think there are more kids that can stay involved if we can help them at least try to be successful.
Give them the tools and the input that they need. Nice.
Long story short, that's kind of where we're taking this a little bit. We'll see how that goes. At this point, it's going to be kind of a pilot program that will start in kind of one school-ish and a feeder. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully we can make that into a bigger program and the school district gets back into it. Okay. One thing I may say with regards to costs, our costs are going up. I'm sure the events that you guys put on, those costs go up. I did see that the school district has raised their fee schedule. So you guys may be aware of that, but that's going to affect us just like everybody else. So something to think about.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, if you need any vocal master classing or any outreach, I'd be willing to.
Thank you.
We'll talk. All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
It's exciting, and that's the most. That's amazing. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Such an impact for the kids.
Yeah.
I remember being in junior high and watching everybody just kind of, hey, where's the tribe? Everyone just kind of leaves, and it's because I think it's partly because of a lack of mentorship and guidance at that crucial point when they make the jump.
Right.
Yeah. Very nice.
I think it'll be cool if we can at least be part of it. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Okay.
thank you, David. It's always good to see
Thanks,
you.
guys.
Any more questions?
Thank you.
Input?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. See you soon. Okay. We'll see you soon. All right. So, Hillary, that brings us to, since he gave us the option of being able to actually, at half price, finish the season this year through October. Is that actionable today, or do we need to put it on the agenda for next?
I think that's actionable today if you make a motion for it.
And
then we can-
historically, in the past, we've given $300 for, it was started out at $150, and then we bumped it to $300, and it was specifically as to fund their cash award for their student artists, their young artists competition. So this, for $200 more for the rest of the year, we would still be involved in that, because I'm sure that, the money goes into the pool, they're continuing the young artists. Well, it just happened, they will never, that will always continue. I think this is a bargain. And the fact that they do each program individually, because, Opera Idaho, the Symphony, some of the bigger companies, they do their season brochure, and that's pretty much it for the whole season. But they're young and flexible enough that they're not that young, but they're still flexible enough that they redo their program specifically for each show, which gives us the flexibility to advertise upcoming relevant projects if we want to. And they reach a large audience. They probably reach the largest adult audience. I would have to think this is the largest adult audience that's reached in the arts regularly in the city of Meridian.
Mm-hmm.
I would suggest Hillary, can we afford to add $200 to our commitment?
you certainly have funds in your your budget, but you would need to move them from other expenses. So either from actual other expenses or from other events.
And I think
Last
the other
year
expenses, if we look at that, may include mailing supplies, non-event specific marketing, promotions, because that's what that extra money would be spent for. That our added value here would be in being able to market our for the Meridian Arts Commission, because we'd be listed in every program. So I think that would make sense to take it out of that budget. Do you?
My concern
Looking at
is,
the other expenses.
Madam Chair, my concern
Definitely.
only is that we've been talking also about doing the radio advertising and other advertising at the events. So we would have to look at, you know, could we maybe utilize, like he said, the funds to maybe advertise some events that way that are coming up, because we are wanting to increase our involvement with Art Week and the Dairy Days Art in the Park and build that.
And we do have more money in the other events.
Spectator, yeah.
That you might be right there. Taking it from the other events might make more sense. But first, before we decide whether, so we've got some pools of money available for this type of application. We just need to find out if people think this is a good thing to do, to expand our sponsorship for the Meridian Symphony Orchestra this year to $500, which would put us at the sponsor level and include listing in the program and availability of advertising for upcoming events. And for this fiscal year, it would be a $500 expenditure as compared to our regular $300 expenditure. And then next year, we could make another decision if we want to continue on for the $1,000. We've made that decision in October. So let's make a motion then with regard to this.
I move that we increase it to the additional 300 for the program this year.
You mean 500?
Or for a total of 500, yeah.
Total of 500 for this year?
Mm-hmm.
Is there a second?
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, so we move on to, will be actual full sponsors for the Meridian Symphony Orchestra. I think that's amazing. Okay, so now we've already done D, so we will move on to then 4E, the hero signage review and expense. Hillary.
Yeah, on your screens, hopefully, is the Journey of Heroes drafted sign. This is your review and approval, and pending your approval, we would look for a motion to approve the not to exceed $400 expense to install the sign. I'm thinking the last sign was actually $376, and I'm thinking that this one actually might be a little less expensive than that, but it will have to be powder coated with silver rather than black so that it better resembles the sculpture. And I just wanted to make sure we had enough to install it. And I'll update you on a price when I have that.
Okay, so we're looking for a motion not to exceed $400 for the initial point gallery call to artists. I'm sorry, for the mural design, the signage, I'm sorry.
Where is that one?
There's 3 things on it's E, it's in Heroes Park.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so this is a not to exceed $400 for that review and expense to send the call to artists.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Hillary, what's the font size on the pathway markers?
Down here on these, I can't recall the font size. The size of the sign itself is 20 inches
Okay.
wide.
Okay.
So the height of the sign itself, something like 9 inches tall. So it'll be larger than this. And the way that the installation is, there's the edge of the flower bed, then about a foot of dirt, which will have low vegetation. And then the sign would be tilted slightly more than our other existing signs. Those are more for like walk-by level. So it'll be tilted a little more, and it'll be lower versus obstructing the installation.
Thank you.
Okay. So easily readable.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve a not-to-exceed amount of $400 for the Heroes Park signage.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Now, going on to the Meridian Mill mural design. This is the Zamzows project. Ellen.
Well, I've seen the proposed design, which is fantastic. I don't know if Hillary has shown it, maybe in a meeting that I wasn't here, but
One of the 6 or 7 drafts that are floating out there
Okay.
at the moment. I'm sorry.
the one we most recently looked at is the most recent one, isn't it?
The one that you saw recently, yes.
Okay.
This is essentially, I'm sorry, I was caught up. This will be tabled. I don't have a design for you to review at the moment because
But I've seen it.
Zamzows hasn't approved it yet. So I don't want to bring you something that Zamzows hasn't approved. But Ellen,
Okay.
you're
I approve it.
okay.
Okay.
And obviously Sector 17 approves it. Hillary approves it. So.
Okay. Good. Thank you, Ellen. So we'll table that. That will be on our agenda for March.
Once I have approval from the Zamzows, that's when I'll bring it to you guys, and then from there, you can either send it back to the artist for alteration, or you could recommend that it be approved by MDC and City Council, and then it would have to go to MDC first and then City Council.
Okay. Thank you, Ellen. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. So the 2019 Initial Point Gallery call to artists online. Bonnie.
Well, since we have not had what I consider a very good response to our call to artists for the gallery shows, I think that we could boost that call and certainly get it out to a lot more people if we utilize one of the online call to artists sites. And I have personally worked with the online juried shows folks to do the entry process for a gallery that I managed before. The cost considerations for it are that you have a $125 setup fee, and then the typical cost is $35 to $45, depending on your organization, for artists to respond to the call. And then from that $35, online juried shows keeps $7, and the other $28 then comes to the organization that's doing the call. So anybody that applies pays for that, for the chance to apply. And you can make the call area to whatever you want it to be. I mean, it can be local, it can be nationwide, international, whatever demographic you're trying to draw from. So I think it would be a good way to get the call out there, collect the funds, and we may broaden our response.
I think it sounds great, and I know that most, we've just moved into an online application world, and almost every sector of society, and arts is included in that business world, where online access seems to be the current medium.
And most artists, most visual artists that are in the market to show are reading those sites. They're getting notices, and they're paying attention to what the calls are in their areas and what they're interested in.
Okay, I love it because I love the idea of expanding the reach and reaching more artists and giving more opportunities. So I'm very in support of this, and thank you for the research you've done into this. And I think it will just take us to the next level of professionality also as an arts commission to have an online submission process as opposed to the what we've done before. And we have to remember that the Initial Point Gallery how long has the Initial Point Gallery been open, Emily? What's the history? It predates me on the commission night.
Madam Chair, City Hall was built, or finished anyway, in 2008, and that's when it opened.
Okay.
So
it's been
10 years.
So time for something new, I think.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Is the setup fee a one-time, or is this an annual hosting cost? What does it look like beyond the initial? You set it up once and you use it in perpetuity?
It's a one-time thing, as I remember, it's a
And
one-time
then they just take the percentage of
Right.
registrations. Okay, thank you.
Any other comments or questions on that? If not, we would entertain a motion.
Bonnie?
Yes? Anyone?
Madam Chair, I move that we approve a not to exceed of $125 to set up a listing with online juried shows for Initial Point Gallery Call to Artists.
Well said. Is there a second?
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed?
Aye.
Don't be shy, artists. Don't be shy.
Come on, Bonnie, see it through the end. No, it's your
All right.
motion.
Yeah, moving on to old business. Thank you, Bonnie. The last meeting we had we put the strategic plan up on the screen and we were all looking through it, and there was so much input and so much engagement that actually it was really exciting. I know it made the meeting go longer than we had expected it to go, but the takeaway was that we really do have a lot of buy-in and interest and passion for what is in the strategic plan, and for refining it, for saying what works, what hasn't, where can we go from here. And so what we're considering doing is, instead of doing it in committee here, the strategic planning committee, which you remember we're having the strategic planning committee, the events committee, and the education and outreach committees that we talked about in our last meeting as well. The strategic planning committee will go through the strategic plan bullet by bullet, kind of refine it a little bit, bring some thoughts, and then we will start going through it point by point, 3 or 4 points. Maybe we can get to 5 points per meeting, just kind of to give it. We'll refine it at the committee level, and then we'll bring it here for a full discussion, so that by the time we get to the time when we're doing our new strategic plan, we have a ton of input and we're ready to go. So I just wanted to let you know that that's kind of what the plan is on that, and it's kind of fun also to see how these planning committees can start to articulate to streamline our process. And that will be our first experiment. Why not start large with our strategic plan? So we're going to go ahead and start in on that. And are there any questions on that? Is everybody cool with that? All right. Good. So B, standing committees, we just wanted to.
Madam Chair, actually,
yes.
I do. Is
yes,
there
going
an
back
issue
to
with
A.
serial meeting, open meeting, if we're talking to individual commissioners to get feedback that we bring to the meeting?
Madam Chair, that's a
Yes.
great question. Good point. It's as long as the communication is one way, so collecting comments is okay. You may not deliberate on email. That would be a violation of the open meetings law, but collecting comments and information that will then be discussed at a subcommittee meeting, which will be noticed, is okay.
Okay.
So just please, thank you for reminding me to remind you, please don't deliberate on email or have any kind of exchange to go over the information that the committee is collecting.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It was just, thank you, Gretchen. It's just collection of information and comments that will be discussed in open forum when we have a quorum. So, yay, thank you, Emily and Gretchen. So the standing committees, we just want to do a quick rehash of who the standing committees are. Strategic planning will be Leslie, Gina, and Gretchen. Outreach and Education Committee is a blank because we are, yeah, go ahead, Hillary.
I was going to say, originally we had Randy B on that. on that committee, but I think that you would also be really well suited for the events committee. And so since we need to get talking about these events, if you would be willing to serve on that events committee, I think that'd be a good.
Is that awesome?
Yeah, wherever you
Okay,
want me.
you good? Okay. And the Outreach and Education Committee, obviously, we're down a few people, so we will continue to work on that and make that. And then the Events Committee is Bonnie, Stephanie, and Randy B. We will work on the Outreach and Education as we are able. So is everyone all cool? Awesome. Good. The 2017 Annual Report for City Council. No one's assigned to this, so Hillary, this is, could you just
This
give
is
us a little information?
this is literally just what I wrote underneath it. Just a reminder: add this to your calendar and attend. That's all. So it's February 20th. We did have to move it because of the conflict with the art gallery and having our commissioners spread out in between two places. So February 20th is our new date.
Okay, so we'll take advantage of the 1 minute that we have to add this to our calendars. Report for City Council. Mac, report. And I'm literally doing that right now because make sure I get it down. And it is at 6 p.m. Got it. Thank you. All right. Reports and presentations, subcommittee reports. We received our via email, via our document system, the monthly financial report. I'm sure everyone had time to review it, and if there's something to be brought out, we would consider a motion. Hillary, would you like to enlighten us on
I
anything?
can talk to you while I scroll through. These are your revenues. Most of them are initial point gallery fees. There's more than this in there. I'm not quite sure why it's not reflected here, but I know I've got almost double that many in, so it might have just been after their report was pulled. And here are your expenses. Your primary expense that you'll see here was that $2,000 for the initial design from Sector 17 so that the Zamzos MDC could work forward pushing something else, pushing an idea forward for the mural, so which they're still working on. And the design changed kind of drastically, so I didn't share it with you, but I'll send you guys an email of the designs that were included with that. And then your Wonka partnership, $1,500 is your other primary expense. I had to buy some more sticky putty and some foam cleaner for the gallery. So
I had a question
big
about
money.
that, but thank you for clearing that up.
Yep. And wood cleaners for the display cases. We've never had wood cleaner before, so seems like time. 10 years in, it's time.
I have to say the gallery looks, if anybody hasn't been up to the gallery, speaking of foam and putty cleaner for the wood chest that is in the gallery upstairs, I love the new placement in the gallery. Looks gorgeous up there. And you get to see the back of the piece now with that beautiful, the water tower. It's gorgeous. So thank you for cleaning that with the putty. All right, thank you. Hillary, do you have anything else? Are there any questions?
Madam Chair, may I be
Yes,
excused?
Gina.
May I be excused?
Of course, of course. Gina has a prior engagement, so she needs to jet. We still have a quorum, right? 1, 2, yep.
Do.
Thank you.
Are you good?
You need me for quorum?
We only need 5. We got them.
Okay.
Do I need to stay? I can stay until.
No,
Just
you're
stay,
fine.
Hillary.
You're fine. Thanks, Gina.
Doing Wonka.
Okay, so let's go ahead and we would entertain a motion then to approve the monthly financial report.
I move that we approve the monthly financial report.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
And any opposed? All right, the Alexa Rose Foundation. Who was able to attend that meeting? Randy B., do you want to give us a little rundown?
I think I actually, after I heard about it, I think I signed up for it. I was like,
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Good.
it was interesting though. I never really heard about it, so it was new to me. So when I went there, it was like I just kind of appreciate it, kind of having those types of things that people create, those things, those foundations and things. I thought it was really neat. I thought it was really good for Idaho. So
Good.
I thought
Thanks
pretty
for
cool.
going.
Yeah, yeah.
And thanks even more for applying.
Thanks for my tea. I remember you bought me.
Oh,
Yeah, it was good tea. They had good tea there.
they do have really good tea.
Yeah.
I love that place. Very good. Did anyone else attend, Gretchen?
I did.
You did?
Yeah, Madam Chair, it was a nice presentation just about the foundation and how they're very direct about funding artists directly to help artists complete projects or push themselves further in their work. There's no scholarship money or, they were very explicit to say this is to go for your dream, whether it's you're a hobbyist and you want to create something, or you're an amateur who wants to push into professional space for doing sabbatical retreat type work or professional development, as well as funding projects where it's just literally buying frames so that you can hang your first installation or things like that. So it's increasingly competitive, but I think she said she'd only been around for 4 years. The foundation has only been around for 4 years.
Wow.
Alexa Rose was a local artist and philanthropist, and so the foundation continues to support artists directly in creating art. So the close of the period is the end of February, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's coming up if you want to help spread the word, and
Okay.
it's just kind of it seemed like an outreach effort to reach artists to encourage them to apply.
Wonderful.
Madam Chair, can I ask a question? Was it just for the visual arts? Is that?
It was everything.
Everything.
They funded someone to go take photographs of sharks in some tropical place. I can't remember what she said. Do you remember?
Wow.
So there were musicians, and it was pretty broad. It seemed.
Performing.
Yeah.
Interesting. Thank you for
Yeah,
attending.
It's
The
all
website's
about
highly
me.
informative. Everything you need to know is really on the website, so that was helpful too.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, thank you for attending, and just for the record, thanks to the Alexa Rose Foundation. That is an amazing, really hitting the artists at the grassroots level approach. It's very, very,
Good turnout.
very good.
Meridian.
Good. Good.
Yeah, there's a lot of people. Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
Very good. Okay, so we have next the administrative report. Hillary.
I think that your events committee needs to meet before the next MAC meeting, so I'll email you guys and set up a meeting time and date. It might be on the same day as your next MAC meeting. If we could meet beforehand, that'd be great. If not, we'll figure it out. The mural campaign is getting closer to a finalized design. We don't have that yet because we tabled it. Installation was last discussed could be as early as March, so pending the approval process that the design goes through, the weather will be hopefully cooperative by the time that all those approvals are in. Heroes Park, the ribbon cutting, Parks decided to go with Thursday, March 15th at 4 p.m. for the ribbon cutting for Journey of Heroes. Please attend. I'm going to try to share whatever Parks makes through Facebook and email, and invite all of the students who participated in the trail marker selection. But please, if you can, share those invites with your friends and network as well to get people to come out there. And then just a little bit about the Notion Point Gallery exhibit for dates and who's in there now, who's leaving. Gretchen said that she could host the March exhibit, and Randy B., I didn't know if you were interested in maybe shadowing a commissioner first, and then maybe March would be a good one because Dwight Williams, who I think you might have met, but I'm not sure, he used to run the gallery, and it's him and a group of his friends that are going to be in the show. So it could be a good one if you have the time to make it. And then there are still host positions available, but some of those will be filled by new commission members. But I've included them here so you can see where we are at the moment. And December changed. We had planned on having some different artists in here, but some of them couldn't make it. So we've invited Lisa Bauer, Joyce Green, Joy Lisk, and Flynn Day Pottery. And Joyce Green will be a half gallery. The other two women will be quarter gallery exhibits, and then Flynn Day Pottery will be in the middle.
Very good.
That's it for me.
Very good. Well, there's a jump-on opportunity for our new commission members. Here is your month for the initial point gallery reception. All right, thank you. Other than that, we just have our, yes.
Sorry, I
Lori.
forgot to say, this Treasure Valley Regional Cultural Meeting is going to take place. So Karen Bubb is organizing or helping to organize a regional cultural meeting with a bunch of arts commissions and history commissions and those types of municipal agencies. So they said 2 people from the Arts Commission could come. So Leslie's already got it on her calendar. And I reached out to Gina, but haven't confirmed with her. So if Gina can't make it or if something comes up, another commissioner may be invited to attend that regional cultural meeting.
Which is a really, really nice event. I like that trend. It should be interesting. So, all right, thank you, Hillary. Any questions from commissioners? All right, we are to the next meeting. We're going to have a little section about the ethics, open meetings, and bylaws, and we got a little glimmer of it today by Emily reminding us that deliberation is not to be done by email, and it's going to be that types of things, just making sure that we all understand the open meeting laws and just a little bit of board training. So, great. Now we're to a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hey, if everybody seconds it, does that count as an all in favor vote? Because I think every single person said second. Yeah, gavel. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you, Claudia. Thank you.
I have tickets for commissioners for Willy Wonka, if anyone would like them for the show and take posters.